Good afternoon. Finally got around to making another video. If you see me smoking a cigarette, excuse the cigarette. I mean, it's a bad habit, I know, but everybody has their bad habits. I'm still working through mine after being sober from weed since March, so going on 10, 11 months. I really don't have a subject. My subject today is just going to be about basically people that feel lost and looking for a place to belong. So I'll probably be around like just all over the place with the subject. So I think I should start with what started me on my journey, which was I had a real bad experience, which I don't tell a lot of people about, but I had a real bad experience with these nerve pills, and like it broke me mentally. And at the time I was an atheist or self-proclaimed atheist, and I really didn't believe that there was an all-powerful being above us that created the whole world and created humans just to die. So it was very hard for me to believe in something. I mean, looking back on it now, it's not hard for me to believe, but the whole thing stemmed from what was the purpose? What was the purpose of us being created if we were just going to die anyways? So a lot of my journey was learning what my purpose was and learning what the purpose of us being here was, which is, in my opinion, we all have lessons that we need to learn. So whatever your lesson is, that's what your purpose is. Whatever lesson you were sent here to learn, that's what your purpose is. And at the end of your journey, it's going to bring you closer to yourself, closer to your friends, closer to your family, closer to the Most High. So if you're feeling lost, like you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do with your life, you don't have anything to believe in, just look within yourself. Start within yourself first before you start just jumping head first into believing something that somebody else is teaching and throwing out there and trying to get people to believe in because that's what they believe in. What somebody else believes may not necessarily be right for you, because like I said, everybody was sent here for different lessons, different purposes. Everybody doesn't have the same purpose. It's billions of people in the world. Some of those lessons and some of those purposes might align with each other, but at the end of the day, you are an individual. You are your own person. You have to look within yourself to find out what your purpose is. So just like you have a team, say you have like a military team or something like that, or a basketball team, a sports team, anything like that, all of those people are on a team together. They have the same goal, the same initiatives, but they have different positions. In basketball, you have the small forward, power forward, center, stuff like that. In the military, you have specialists, demolitionists, all types of stuff. So all these people are on a team together, but they have different purposes, is what I'm getting at. So find your purpose, first of all. Look within yourself and really try to connect connect with something. Try to connect with something more than the physical. If you don't believe that there's something outside of the physical, then you probably will never connect to anything, even if you do go searching for something, it's such as a higher purpose. So, I've been saying in my past few videos, you have to first start out believing in something. And in this day and age, it's hard for younger generations to believe in something because looking back on our history, we don't have much to believe in because everybody that believed in something was either killed or brought down, dragged through the mud. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for us to believe that there's a higher spiritual being, there's a higher purpose for us when we've been trodden underfoot for so long, for so many generations, and we've been beaten and dragged through the mud. All of our heroes, per se, have been dragged through the mud in the media, and you know what I'm saying, they just generally make it seem like we're bad people. We don't have a place in this world. We don't have a purpose in this world. We're just here to cause destruction, which is not what our people are meant for. Our people are meant to raise awareness and consciousness, spread love, peace, and positivity. That's what our people are here for. Now, there's many different ways that we achieve that goal, but like I said, if we're a team, we all have that one goal in mind. So we move as a collective. You move as a collective, then you're stronger together. You have a better chance of meeting that goal, even though everybody has their own individual purpose. You can't have your own individual agenda, because if you have your own individual agenda and somebody else has their own agenda, and you just working together as a means to an end, my bad. If you just working together as a means to an end, in the long run, it's going to all fall apart. And one of the biggest problems that we have today is everybody is working together, but also they only have their own interest in mind. They only have their own agenda in mind. And eventually the darkness comes to light and everything falls apart. And the hope that we once placed in these people is gone. So my whole thing is, I've always felt like I had a higher purpose than just working a 9 to 5, living, paying rent, paying like gas and water, buying groceries, etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So one of my biggest struggles was, what is my purpose? I know I have a purpose. People saw my potential. Even when I didn't see it in myself, people were telling me, you destined for something great. You know what I'm saying? You're a great person at heart. You're a good person in heart. And you could do a lot of great things in life. I see you being a great person in life. I didn't see that in myself, but I felt that they were right. So after I had that experience with the pills, it broke me down mentally to such a point to where I had no other choice but to believe in a higher power just to get my mind right, just to get back in the right state of mind. I had to actually believe in something greater than myself and pray on it, that my health mentally would become stable, that I would be back in the right state of mind. So that's what happened to me. I prayed on it, and I was basically like, if, you know what I'm saying, if I'm put back in the right state of mind, if I'm not having these thoughts that I'm having anymore, you know what I'm saying, I won't do none of the stuff that I was doing anymore. The pills, the lean, the weed, which I lied about the weed. I still smoked weed even after I was good. But my point being is that after I said about a week or two, I was good after being in an unstable state of mind for 2.5, 3 months. So that changed my whole outlook on life. I never went to the doctor for what happened because, for one, I wasn't supposed to be taking the pills. And two, I don't believe in the pharmaceutical company. I don't believe in hospitals. I don't believe that doctors do what they say they're going to do, what they take an oath to do, which is cure people of their ailments, cure people of their illnesses, stuff like that. One thing you have to learn about the pharmaceutical company is hospitals are owned by pharmaceutical companies. If they didn't sell drugs or prescribe drugs, then they would be out of business. There would literally be no hospitals because they don't have anything to help you. They don't have anything to cure you. They don't have, if you get shot, they don't have morphine for you. So they damn near don't operate on you because of the pain that you would be in. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you're dying from cancer or something and they don't have the necessary drugs to help you treat it, there's nothing they can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, chemotherapy is just one way to combat cancer. Surgery is one way to combat cancer, but they also use drugs to basically soften the blow, for a lack of better words. So I don't believe in going to hospitals that much. On another note, after that happened, after the situation with the pills, I was going through a rough time. I had just moved out of my house back into my mother's house, and I was sleeping on the couch. And one day, after being on YouTube, listening to different spiritual people talk about, the Most High and what they believe about this world and the Most High and religion and things like that, I was laying on the couch, sleep, and I've had sleep paralysis a number of times before, but this time it was different. I was laying on the couch and I was in a state of being asleep, but I really wasn't asleep. It was like I was having sleep paralysis, but I was aware of my situation. Like, I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't move. I was laying flat on my back. And I just started having this vision. And the vision was real intense. So the vision started with creation. How the world was created. And then it went from there. It started with the Most High creating this universe, and then the angels or beings, other worldly beings, whatever you want to call them, and how they fell from the Most High to the most lowest state ever, and the separation that happened along the way. So somewhere along the lines of them falling to the lowest vibration, the lowest frequency, the lowest state, there was a separation between the positives and the negatives, the masculine and the feminine. So, excuse me. So, after the separation, they finally fell to the lowest point, which was Earth. They fell into physical bodies. And after this happened, there was, right before that happened, there were wars going on in the dimension right outside of this one, which would be the fourth or fifth dimension. So, because of all the warring and the differences and the division going on, they ultimately ended up falling into physical forms, into the physical world, the third dimension. And after that, they were still in a state of higher spiritual awareness. But even then, they couldn't stop warring. And they built civilizations and started creating humans, or beings that they could use as servants, basically. And somewhere along the lines, they started using them as weapons, soldiers. So there were two main factions. One created humans before the other. And that's where you get many of the different nationalities that we have today. Most of them started in Africa. The Africans were the first beings created. And then I think it was the Asians, and then from there on. Anyways, the other faction was located in the Caucasus Mountains and created the Caucasians and the Europeans. And that's how you get France, Spain, Portugal, everything else. So there's the division. From there on out, there was nothing but warring. That's all they did was war. So it finally got to a point to where they fell to such a low vibration that they had to inhabit the very beings that they created. This is how low that they fell. They had to inhabit human beings just to survive. But along with that came loss of knowledge, loss of self, loss of spiritual awareness. So they began to forget who they were and where they came from, which is where writing came in. They started, written accounts came in. This is where they started writing down and taking account of their history just so they could remember where they came from. Now, like I said in one of my other videos, a lot of us are descendants of those beings. We have those beings' DNA in our blood. So it's all about waking up and understanding who we are and where we came from to reconnect with that spiritual frequency, that higher spiritual awareness. So there's still a division, which we could tell to this day. And that division comes in with the people called the Hebrews and the people called the Jews or the Gentiles. The Jews are not Hebrews. They are not Hebrews. The Jews are not Hebrews. So the Gentiles and the Hebrews are the two factions, which you have other different people and factions, out for their own gain, but they're aligned with one of the two factions, right? But they're out for their own gain at the end of the day. So the Hebrews are the ones lost and devoid of knowledge. They had so much high esteem, so much self-esteem, such a high self-esteem that the Most High was like, y'all going too fast. Y'all are getting too big for your britches. You're still children. And basically cursed us. We were cursed to a lack of knowledge of the Most High, which is the Most High Creator, the Most High Self, whatever you want to call it, however you see it. That's what it is. So the wars were going on, and after a while, there would be this one major war to end all wars. It's happened several times throughout the centuries. There's always one major war to end all wars, which is coming soon. So my point being is that one side always comes out on top. Now, the Gentiles, the Jewish people, those that claim they are Jews but are of the synagogue of Satan, they've made sure that they've always come out on top, and we've always lost the knowledge of ourselves. There's always a point where the Hebrews wake up and remember who they are. And then the war starts. And then the war ends. Who's on top is determined on who's in favor of the Most High. But the Jewish people have made it where they have all of these deceptions and traps in place to keep you from the Most High, to keep you from believing in the Most High. So when the war does kick off, they'll come out on top in the end. So all of this was from my vision. Like, my vision was like a 30-minute vision, and all of this was in the vision. Also, ice ages were in the vision. So where the ice ages come in at is whenever there's a situation of extremely low temperature, when it's very, very, very cold, it makes you docile. It makes you sleepy. This is what ice ages do. This is what winter does. This is what the cold does. It makes you docile. It makes you sleep. Everybody's always talking about, oh, I'm woke. I'm so woke. This, woke that. You gotta wake. You gotta be woke. You gotta wake up. Blah, blah, blah. The awakening. Blah, blah, blah. The cold keeps you from waking up. It makes you want to sleep. If you know anything about hypothermia, you freeze to death, but before you freeze to death, ultimately your blood pressure drops so low that you just fall asleep. And once you fall asleep, you're gone. You're done. You're dead. That's it. That's how hypothermia works. So they make sure that they keep the temperature nice and low and cold to where you're docile. There's a fire inside you. Your soul is a fire that burns within you. And if you're not awake, if you're not woke, then that fire is not burning hot enough or bright enough for you to withstand the cold, and it makes you docile. It makes you not even want to fight a war. It makes you not even want to fight for your people or fight for yourself or fight for the Most High. So they know this, and they've just not got to a point through help of other beings to where they can technologically control the weather, control how you think through hypnosis and mind control and things of this nature. So back in the day, like I say, once they started making nuclear weapons, they found out that they could cause a thing called nuclear winter. Nuclear winter is when there's so much radiation from a nuclear disaster where it basically blocks out the radiation from the sun, the heat from the sun, the rays from the sun. Once it does that, it lowers the temperature on Earth. Once it does that, you are docile. Once you're docile, you're going back to sleep, even if you're woke, unless your fire burns hot, unless your fire burns bright. You have to keep oil in your lamp. The Bible says that all the time. You have to keep oil in your lamp. The 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. The 5 foolish didn't have oil in their lamps when the Most High came. When the truth came to the people, the 5 foolish didn't have oil in their lamps. So they had to go get oil for their lamps. And they missed it. They missed everything. They went back to sleep. But the 5 wise kept oil in their lamps. This is where the oil comes from. Your third eye, your pineal gland. That's where the oil comes from. It also comes from the base of your spine and goes up to the pineal gland. So oil comes from the word of the Most High. The food of the soul is the word. The words of the Most High, to be specific. That's what the food of the soul is. That's what your soul eats. If you ever go on a fast, if you really want to fast, for one, you have to be prepared mentally. But 2, if you're not doing it for spiritual purposes, do not do it, because your soul is going to talk to you, which your soul is in the pit of your stomach. Your soul is going to say, I'm hungry. You're going to think it's your stomach saying I'm hungry. No, it's your soul. Your soul wants you to read to it. Read the words of the Most High to it. Make it wiser. Make it more intelligent. Give it an understanding so it can burn brighter and stronger inside of you. Give it more oil. Give it food. Give it manna. That's what it wants. That's what I did. And it worked out the best for me. Literally the best. Like, it got to a point to where I didn't even want physical food anymore. I just drunk water. All I drunk was water, literally. Like, I had no snacks, no nothing in between, just water. And the word of the Most High, which I don't believe that we can't live without the food we eating anyways, because most of it is GMO, genetically modified organisms, and most of it is poisonous to us and unhealthy for us, and we thinking we need it to survive. And that's how they want us to think, because what you're doing is lowering your vibration. You're making yourself numb to the higher vibrations. You're becoming content with the physical world, basically. So within doing that, you get to a state to where you never want to leave. And the whole thing about it is, we are not meant for this world. We are meant to be above this world as a light for the world. That's what we're here for. We're supposed to be a light for the world. We're supposed to help other beings out of this world. We're supposed to help them get out of this world. But if they cause enough fear and distraction, you don't want to go nowhere. You scared of where you going. So if you feel like you don't know where you want to go, but you scared of where you going, you need to believe in something. You need to believe in some type of deity. And I'm not saying that because somebody might say, well, you preaching false doctrine, you teaching false doctrine by saying believe in any deity or something. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is believing in something, a deity, not Satan or the devil, but believing in a deity, a God, a higher power will lead you to the Most High. That's just the beginning, the start of the journey. You have to first believe in something before you can completely and totally understand where the Most High is coming from, if you get what I'm saying. Because ultimately, if you are learning for yourself and not just wholeheartedly believing what people are out there teaching you, then you are going out and learning for yourself and researching for yourself what the Most High is, who the Most High is, where the Most High is, what you are, who you are, and where you came from. Never be so content with life to where you just wholeheartedly believe without a doubt something that somebody is teaching you, something that somebody is throwing at you out the crack of their ass. Don't do it. And I'm so serious. Like, I wanted to laugh, but I'm so serious. Just in this day and age, we are looking for someone to lead us. That's what we want. We don't want to think for ourselves. We want somebody to think for us. We want somebody that's going to lead us. And some of us are meant to lead, but we are not meant to lead you to the finish line. We are not meant to lead you to redemption. We are not meant to lead you to the end of the road. We are just meant to start you on the path. And after you get to a certain point, you have to finish it on your own. You have to start thinking for yourself. That's what the purpose of leading is, to get people to think for themselves. So I say a lot of controversial things just to get people to think for themselves. I like being controversial. Being controversial gets people's minds active. It gets the ball rolling. It gets people thinking outside of the box. And to get outside of this world to a higher spiritual plane, you have to think outside of the box. Think outside of the dome. The dome is this. This is the dome. The dome of your head is the dome that you're trying to crack. There's a dome above us, but As above, so below. What do you think is going on? You are a star seed. The seed is the soul. The soul is the seed. And once this physical body is gone, all that remains is the seed. Where will it go is the question that's posed, is the question that's asked. Where will it go after the flesh is dissolved and gone back into the earth? And if you don't have a higher level of consciousness, then you're destined to fall. You're destined to fail and come back until you learn your lesson, until you learn who you are, until you learn how this world works, how the enemy thinks, how the Most High thinks. You're destined to reincarnate, come back to this world over and over again until your purpose is achieved. So I also said in one of my other videos that the Most High told me what my purpose was. I know what my purpose is. I just go against the grain. I go against my purpose every day. For as long as I'm working a 9 to 5, for as long as I'm paying bills, for as long as I'm worried about this physical life, entertaining this physical life, I am going against my purpose. Which, like I said last time, I'm not saying it as if I like it, as if it's a good thing, but at the same time, I just don't have the wherewithal, the will to do what the Most High has set out for me to do. I don't have the mental strength or mental capacity to just up and quit my job and stop paying rent and stop paying my bills. Even though I know all of that shit is a sham, I know all of it is just an illusion, like bills, money, all that shit that they try to tell us is necessary for society, when in actuality our ancestors never lived like that. They didn't have a money system. They had a bartering system, which is they traded their goods and they lived in peace. Once money came into play, that's when the wars started. And money is just paper and cloth and ink. It's nothing. They say it's backed by gold and silver, but those are natural resources within the earth, which they made an economic commodity. They made those into, they made gold and silver and bronze and all types of other shit into currency. When those are natural minerals from the earth, how can you make something from the earth currency? Think about that. This came from the earth. We're going to use this to back our paper money. Yeah, okay. So if I go dig this shit up, can I pay my bills with it? No. I need money, nigga. I need actual money. Now you could probably go sell it for some money, and even then they gonna lowball you. They know what that shit is worth. It's not worth anything. It's meant to trade. If you trading it for some paper, it's not a fair trade. It's not a fair deal. Understand that. So I was debating with a guy on one of my videos because he wanted to be an asshole on somebody else's videos. And I'm not against Christians at all. I'm just not a Christian. I don't believe everything that Christians teach, but that don't mean that I would go and, you know what I'm saying, belittle somebody because of their beliefs. I would try to get them to understand some things from my perspective, but I would never belittle somebody because of who or what they believe in. So he wanted to talk about how I was going to hell and all of this other stuff. But when it really came down to it with the debate, he ultimately stopped commenting because I told him my people are already in hell. This is hell for my people. My people don't live here. My people live with the Most High. My people, since they've been here, since they've been disowned as a nation, have been trodden underfoot, beaten, exiled, just outright the worst you could do to a people. Everything has been done to my ancestors and still is being done to my people. And that's what I told dude. That's what I told him. And he wanted to talk about, oh, you making it about race and color and how you know you a real Hebrew and I know real Hebrews. I said, I never once made it about color or race. I'm talking about DNA. I have the DNA of the Most High in my blood. That's how I know I'm a real Hebrew. If you read the Bible and you understand what the Bible is talking about, the whole Bible is about one people, the people of Israel, a people that was slaves throughout the entire time of the Bible, from Egypt on up. They were slaves. They were slaves at one time or another to some nation, but their own nation was divided into 12 tribes. They were the one nation, but 12 tribes, and then they were divided even more once they got scattered. They got scattered amongst the nations. So you can't tell me that my people are not the real Hebrews when the evidence is there. The evidence that the black people in America are the only people that don't know who they are. We are not African Americans. That's just what they call us. We may have been based in Africa at one time, but we are not African. We are not from Africa. When Africans sold us into slavery to begin with, they talking about all Africans sold other Africans to Europeans. But if you go to Africa, they had never even heard of slavery until the Europeans got there. They wasn't teaching slavery to Africans in Africa. Other Africans wasn't teaching about, oh, we used to sell these niggas to Europeans, and then, you know what I'm saying, push came to shove, and they said, we just finna take all y'all to America, or to Mexico, or to wherever else they was taking people. They didn't teach that in Africa until Europeans came. Europeans came and took over Africa is a European-owned continent. Look it up. Most of the nations in Africa have European influence. So that's how they learned about slavery. The Europeans came and taught them about slavery. They had never heard of it because it didn't happen. We weren't in Africa when we were taken. Some of us were in Africa, but the nation of Israel was already divided as a people. They were already scattered before slavery had came into effect. So Some of us were already here in America. We were scattered. I don't believe that. Okay, there are some African Americans, but there are also Native Americans. And if you actually look up what some of these Native Americans look like, this is their skin color, literally. This is what their skin look like. And on top of that, the reason that they call the so-called Native Americans that people believe were here before us, Indians, the reason that they call them Indians is because they came from India. If you go to India and look at their skin color, it's reddish brown, just like the Indians over here. That's where they came from. If you look at a picture of the civilized, they call them the civilized tribes of the Native Americans, they all had dark skin. They were the civilized tribes, and there were only like 5 or 6 civilized tribes of the Native Americans, and they were all black people. They were all black tribes. The Red Indians were the savages. They were the ones cutting scalps and eating people and shit like that. So you can't tell me that the black people in America aren't true Hebrews. It's in their DNA. If you look at the story of Christ, Jesus Christ, if you really know the story and look at it and listen to it and research it for yourself, he was treated just like a black person. They treated him like how they treat black people in America the whole time he was here on earth. That's how they treated him up until the end when he died. So I tell people I have that DNA in me because I do. I know it for a fact. I know that I have Native American DNA in me. I might have African DNA in me. I don't know. I wouldn't discredit it. I might try to disprove it, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say, oh, we not from Africa, all black people not from Africa, because this so-called United States is really just a United Nations, because there are many different nationalities that come here seeking refuge. They come here seeking asylum. They come here for a so-called better life, but when they get here, they understand that this is the worst place in the world to live because it's so totalitarian in America and so corrupt and just so many other things, so many negative things, to where there's no such thing as the American dream. There is really no such thing as a better life in America, because America is a place where they came and killed off the aboriginals, the natives of the land, and claimed it for themselves and have been doing it for centuries. They go to other people's lands and they steal them and they kill the original people, the native people, and claim the lands for themselves and then teach them their own history as written by them. How can you teach a people their history starting from when you got there? That's as far back as you are willing to go. You can't teach them about how they were living and what they were doing before you got there. You can only teach them about what was going on once you got there, which always starts with massacres, war, destruction, genocide. So there's a lot that people have to understand You have to unlearn and then relearn a lot of your history, a lot of what has been taught to you. You have to unlearn it and then re-educate yourself on it. Re-educate yourself. Don't let nobody teach you. Educate yourself. Only then will you have a better understanding of it. You have to be willing to listen to the Spirit. You have to be willing to be led by the Spirit. The Spirit will lead you all and guide you. All you have to do is ask. The Spirit is already within you. It's inside you. It's your soul. It's that intuition that you ignore. All you have to do is ask and be willing to believe that there is a higher power guiding you. Yeah, you have to understand that in some small part, that it's you ultimately that's leading you to where you need to be. But at the same time, there is a higher power, a higher consciousness that is leading you to where you need to be, guiding you to where you want to be, to your purpose, to helping you understand how this world works and what you're supposed to be doing in this life and how you're supposed to be helping other people, spreading positivity and knowledge and understanding and wisdom to your people, a people that's been slaves for thousands of years, a people with lack of knowledge of the Most High, a people that has forgotten their history time and time again, that remember themselves, remember the Most High that created them, remember their history, and ultimately get shot back down once they try to lift themselves up out of the mud. I was finna say something else, but out of the mud. Every time we try to lift ourselves out of the mud, we get shot back down. We get pulled back down for lack of knowledge, for lack of leadership, for lack of trust and faith in the Most High, for a lot of different reasons. And I'm not completely blaming what's happened to us on there being a division, because in no small part is what happened to us not our fault. A lot of it is our fault because we're hard-hearted, hard-headed, stubborn, and we just don't want to listen. We don't want to understand. We're comfortable where we are. We're content with what we've got, even if you're not content with what you got or happy with what you got. You're thinking on a physical level. You have to start thinking on a spiritual level. You're thinking about what you want in this life, the physical life. New car, new house, new job, better pay, more money, a better looking woman, a better looking man, a happy family, status, fame, just everything that has to do with nothing, basically. Because once you die, you can't take any of that with you. You can't take nothing with you but what you learned while you were here. If you don't believe in an afterlife, then you destined to fail. You destined to reincarnate, and then one day you'll eventually realize that you've been reincarnating for hundreds and thousands of years, and it'll all hit you at once, and it's going to break you that you were so hard-headed and stubborn-hearted and hard-hearted that you didn't want to believe in something greater than yourself. So ultimately, you were stuck here, reincarnating over and over again. And it's not my place to tell you that's wrong, because everybody is woken up in their due time. The Most High knows what time you're going to wake up, when you're going to wake up, what lifetime you're going to wake up. Everybody has a appointed time. So the fact that I woke up in this lifetime means it was my appointed time. But everybody that's meant to wake up, excuse me, everybody that's meant to wake up can't do it by their own strength. Some people need help. Some people need reassurance. Some people need leadership. Some people need that extra push. So that's what a lot of our purposes are: to teach, to lead, to lend a helping hand, to get people started on their journey. Because when it all boils down, in the end, there's a lot of unavoidable things that are going to happen. And if you're not privy to the way the world works, you'll be living in fear because of lack of understanding. Not just lack of understanding of the Most High, but lack of understanding of the physical and spiritual world and how it connects, intertwines, and works hand in hand with each other. So unlearn everything you've been taught, especially science, because science is spiritual on another name, just called by another name. Science is really, really, really dealing with spirit. Anything scientific is just them explaining something spiritual on a physical level. That's all they're doing. They're trying to make it seem so advanced to where you don't even understand that they're explaining something spiritual so simply. Like, oh, once you actually understand, like, oh, that's what they was talking about. Like, why the hell they use all them big words and shit when they could have just outright said it? You know what I'm saying? Like, when they talk about space and stars and galaxies and creations of planets and stars and the environment and etc., like whatever, and they use all those big university words and shit you got to look for in a dictionary. Once you actually understand what they talking about, like, oh, it was that simple. Like, why was it so long and drawn out? Like, why did they have to write a 3-page essay about the shit? Like, when it was just one paragraph's worth of knowledge. If you understand what I'm saying. So, I'm really glad that this video was long. I wanted this video to be long, at least an hour. I hope I wasn't rambling. I really was rambling, but I told y'all in the beginning that it was gonna be me jumping all over the place, and hopefully something resonated with the people, something connected to you, something sparked the interest in you, something sparked that fire within you, something that I said sticks with you. I don't know when I'll make another video. It's very hard for me to align with what the Most High has set for me, because I'm still in the process of trying to find myself and understand myself and just realign myself with the Most High after being sober for 10 months, because smoking weed helped me to gain a better understanding of a lot of things, and it was a big part of my life. I wouldn't say I was addicted, but you know what I'm saying? People that can't own up and, you know what I'm saying, be honest with themselves about their addictions, those people, they have a mental situation. They have something wrong with them that they're not willing to admit. So for me, it was kind of an addiction, because I went from weed to smoking cigarettes. I have a very bad smoking habit, and I used it every time I wanted to gain or understand. I would smoke weed and read the Bible, watch spiritual sermons, spiritual videos on YouTube, and it would help me to focus my mind and my energy, instead of my mind being all over the place while actually trying to learn something. So I'm trying to get into the habit of actually focusing my mind and learn something without the crutch of marijuana or weed. I like saying weed better than marijuana. So, I believe that's all I have for today. If you would like me to make a video, give me a subject, and I'll expand on whatever the question is, whatever the subject is. I'll expand on it from my point of view and my opinions on it. Only if I have knowledge of the subject. I really do have knowledge of a lot of subjects, though, so throw them at me. And hopefully it won't be another month before I make a video. But yeah, signing off until next time. Thank you.